Okay, well, we'll do this part for the people that may watch it later, because you two are veterans. Okay, so it's 7 o'clock straight up. It's sort of casual Friday with Marie. I'm Anne Marie. I am the proprietor of the page here at New Day, New Way, also running a group of the same name, New Day, New Way, Excellence and Vision. And so I do this every Friday, and we usually go along with a blog topic that's recent. Today is going to be this week's blog topic because, I don't know, it was just on me to do that blog topic today, this week. So the blog topic is the topic of the event, which you saw. Let's see. Yes, Jenny, I feel you on that one. We all go through slack times on our diet and exercise. Yoga is, Susan said, fry, yay. Yoga is saving what's left of my hip. And here's the best advice I'm going to give you, because I don't give exercise tips, because so yeah, the best advice I get is try until you find what works for you. I like certain music in a certain order, like a certain string of songs. Once I've figured out the progression of what I'm going to do and the time, then I'm going to do a half an hour, or I'm going to do 15 minutes or whatever. Find what works for you. It doesn't make a good crap what anybody else is doing. You find what works for you. So the blog topic this week was the diet lie. If you are a woman over the age of 5, you are a person who knows what the diet lie is. And the lie is that diets are just crap. If it's a diet, well, there's a couple that I didn't try because I knew they were bogus and I didn't want to. But basically, if it's a diet or a diet pill or a diet trick or a diet tip, I have tried it. So I'm going to begin this live by saying the same thing I said in the blog. I am not going to give eating advice. I'm not going to tell you what to eat or when to eat or how much to eat. Y'all already know I advocate for whole foods and healthy foods and holistic things. That does not mean that the Jones for pizza doesn't overtake me. It sits behind me and jumps on my back every once in a while, because it just does. So I'm not going to tell you what to eat and how to eat. You already know all that stuff. We're not going to discuss stuff you already know. Hopefully this is stuff you may have already known but just want to implement. So let me check really quick. So I want to start with this because I got it from a rather famous psychologist. And it holds true. When I thought about it a lot. We are not born into the world with emotional issues about our worth or about our weight or about anything else for that matter. We take these things on as we grow up and begin to interact with our world. So when you think about that, that's huge. You come into the world and with few exception, hopefully, when you have a need, it's met. We expect our needs to be met as babies, and they are. And there's a whole truckload of psychology behind this, but basically, if you do boil it down, our subconscious remembers. We have a baseline memory of things that we don't consciously remember. Maybe you're one of those people that remembers a lot about your young childhood. I have flashy memories. But basically, from the time we're babies, when something is wrong, parents have to guess because babies can't express. And so the first thing they do is they try to feed you after they've determined if you're wet or stinky. And so food is something that we remember giving us comfort. It was warm and sweet and probably full of fat that our brains needed as babies. And so that imprints on our brain to some degree, some people more than others. And so it's just a thing that, in my case, I know I was guilty of this with my kids. On occasion, something upsetting happened, or they went through something at school. It's like, let's all get in the kitchen. We're going to make something together. We're going to, make it all right. We'll talk and we'll laugh. And it all centered around food because I love to cook. And so I'm sure to some degree with my children, food became a thing as well. But our insecurities start when our needs are not met. which as adults, we can take hold and understand that we are the only people that can meet our needs. We determine what our needs are, and once we figure out that we're the ones that need to meet those needs and it's not on somebody else, then life opens up for us and we become a whole lot more peaceful. But when we're children, our insecurities come when our needs are not met and we struggle. Our little brains are hardwired, even if they're young, and they struggle to make sense of this thing that's happening that's going against our current belief that when we have needs that they're met. And so what ends up happening there is my needs are not being met because there's something wrong with me. And in some people, especially if you you go to school and end up getting bullied and all these things happen, these insecurities compound and compound, and if they're not addressed, if there's not someone that can show a child how to, in a healthy way, process that and get by it, then the child will develop, or you, and I know that I did, develop their own coping skills, something that works for them. We all know what crisis mode is, and we know that we don't need to live there, the survival mode. So we create coping skills, some of which may have started out with good intent, but they end up, if you'll pardon the expression, getting a bit bastardized in the process because of things that we go through and influences that we have. So Jenny says, I don't know where to start. Yeah, nobody does. I'm fixing to help you with that. Susan, which is why both of my boys came to us with attachment disorders. Yes, you have attachment disorder. It can translate to everything from depression, which Susan, I'm sure you know, depression, anxiety, weight issues, trust issues. I know that it might be hard for you guys to believe. There was a time in my early 20s when I was afraid to leave my home. I was afraid to walk on my front porch, and I had a 1-year-old. Things get turned over when you either don't know how to communicate or you don't have someone to communicate to. Then the more you internalize and push it down, and I'm going to get to this more in a minute, push it down, the stomach is the seat, the stomach and the gut are the seat of everything. And so the more you stay inside your own head, the more whacked out some of this stuff gets. And yeah, bad things can happen. It's why it's so important that, and I love that the trend is flowing now on all the social media, where if somebody needs to reach out, there's people posting 800 numbers. There's people that are saying, hey, I've got 15 minutes. Do you want to talk to me? Or I've got a half an hour. I'm going to be here. You want to talk to me? I may not have all the answers. Most people aren't looking for the answers. I know that I wasn't looking for somebody to give me the solution as much as I wanted somebody to hear me and say, you're not the only one. You're not nuts. You're not the only one. I went through this too. Now this helped me, and it gives you like, okay, well that helped them. Maybe it's not quite me, but it gives you an idea, and you get what I'm saying. I kind of equate it to when I try a new recipe, and the first time I'll try it the way they give it to me, and then I already know how I'm going to tweak it to make it all mine. It's the same with well-intentioned advice. It's rarely taken word for word, and it probably shouldn't be. So we come to the term self-esteem, which I stuck on that early this week. It's something that's been thrown at me for over 40 of my 54 years. Literally, the meaning is, it boils down to, if you don't use all the psychological bullshit, it's how much we like ourselves. Esteem for someone else is basically how much you like that person. You hold them in a certain level of esteem based on how much you like them, which breaks down into why you like them. Do you respect them, or you revere them, or you trust them, or their authenticity, all of that. And so if you take those criteria for how you hold someone else in esteem and you apply that model to your self-esteem, there's a huge void there. There's a huge void. And in my case, it was almost insurmountable because I didn't know how to build that bridge. I didn't know how to get from there to there, and I didn't know how to hold myself in esteem, in any kind of esteem. Deep down, I knew that I had gifts and talents, but I didn't know how to translate that into I'm worthy, I'm okay, I'm enough. And so all of these all of these, things stem off from that. And in my case, my fixation was in one form or another on food. And so it didn't matter what diet I tried. It didn't matter how many diet pills I ate, and some of them were really bad. Didn't matter how many shakes I drank. It didn't matter how many miles I walked or how many bike rides I took or how many days I went to the gym. It didn't matter. None of it mattered because of this. And they hook you in with all of that and the before and after photos, and it's like, anybody ever try a diet and you end up coming off of it, do you feel more of a failure or a success after that? I mean, the reason it didn't fail, you guys already know what this is. You already know. Yes, substance abuse, trust issues, anorexia. So the reason that diets fail isn't because maybe they did work and maybe you did lose some weight on them. I have found a couple that seem to work okay for me. The problem comes in where you think of it as it's sold to you as a diet, it's marketed to you as a diet. Your mind takes it in as a diet, and you're thinking about it from a scarcity standpoint. It's something that I'm gonna have to deny myself all the stuff that all the normal people get to eat. This is what I used to think in school. Well, everybody else gets to eat what they want, but I don't because I'm a whack job, or I'm a freak, or whatever. And mind you, I wasn't all that big, but in my mind, I was really huge, and the bullying didn't help with that. So you come at it from a standpoint of, okay, I'm going to be disciplined, and I'm going to have the word that I hate worst in the world, willpower. It has nothing to do with willpower. I think Jeff Lerner said that. It has nothing to do with willpower. It has to do with mindset. And so I wasn't coming at it from a place of, and probably most people aren't, I'm ready to be healthy. I'm ready to feel better. I deserve to feel better. I deserve better choices. I deserve what I'm doing. This is going to be something that makes my insides feel good, which is going to make me have more energy, and I'm going to feel better about lots of things. And when your insides feel good and you're feeding your body good things, then you already know your mindset helps a little bit, but it gets helped by that chemically. But if you're coming at it from a scarcity standpoint, like, well, I've just got to do this until I get that 10, 20, 30, 80, 134 in my case, pounds off. I lost 134 pounds the hard way. So your mindset's already cut you off at the knees, and what you did was you basically put an end point on that diet. When you come up on that, it doesn't matter how good the guru is or how excellent the advice is, because of the mindset we come at it with. And there's something in the back of our minds always going, well, the last one didn't work, and what if I gain the weight again? I'll deal with that later. If I could have $1 drop out of the sky for every time that I started something and went into something and said, oh, no, I'll deal with that later. I'm just going to concentrate on doing the thing. And the fallout, I'll deal with that later. You do that enough, you become an expert at it, and I kind of am. All right, well, let me check this out. Miss Jenny, never understanding why others love my smile. When I do something to help build someone else up and their life is better because of my guidance, not knowing why I did it, but that, okay, well, you have a healer soul, you have a giver soul, you're a service-minded, service-hearted person. The fact that you don't like your smile, so I mean, it's nice that they do, but it's not as important that they do as it is that you do. And this is where your self-talk comes in. This is where you're going to have to take some time and sit down and go, write down that list. Make that list of all the crappy stuff you say to yourself every day. Do you know how many times I've done that list? Each time it gets smaller. The first time I sat down and did this list of stuff that I say to myself, I started to cry because I just kept on writing. And I never cry. Like, literally, I never cry. And I just kept on writing, and I'm sitting there crying, and my husband says, what's wrong with you? I said, I'm crying because I can't stop writing. I had a page, like a notebook page, of crappy stuff I've been saying to myself for decades. And even I was shocked. And so I went off by myself and I started to say them out loud, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't say them out loud. But I say them up here. And your thoughts evoke are attached to feelings. You have the thought, it evokes that feeling. Your feeling leads to your action. Your action is your behavior. It leads to your behavior. So if you think I have a crappy smile, then your feeling is, I can't smile. Somebody might laugh. And so then your action is to go like this. Or in my case, this. Because that's not the whole full smile. I have the same thing. I'm not super happy with my smile. So I find other ways. You want to show your happiness to somebody, but not break out in it. And then there's times when you're just so relaxed with people, and before you know it, you've got the full-blown smile going on. When your brain notices that and tries to make you stop, tell it to go to hell. And you keep smiling. That's what I do. I call it my success character. It's not a false character. It's the person inside that's trying to get out. It's the person inside that I held down for years because I didn't think she was good enough. And in some cases, I still struggle with that. And it manifests itself for me with, as you can tell, I am no longer anorexic and bulimic. I kind of swung the other way with the pendulum, and that's in the blog as well. That eating disorder damn near killed me. I didn't realize how close it came to killing me until after. And after was when I met my current husband. We decided to get married, and it's for me no small thing to move into someone's home and live with them and become a family. That to me is one of the biggest things you can do in life, to share your life with someone, because that means you can't hide your dirty little secrets. And I had a lot of them. I sat down and was very honest with him about most of them. He had guessed a few of them. So I made a commitment to try to be better. And people say, oh, well, it's okay that you gain weight. It's happy weight. Oh, no, ma'am. It was not happy weight. If you're married and somebody tells you gain weight because you're happy, I hope you were, because I wasn't. It had nothing to do with my husband. I was stressed out. I was freaking out. I was trying to hold everything. And not that the life was, I had a good job. He had a job. His band was active. My kids were doing well in school. But I couldn't get a hold of myself. And it took years. It did. And I really think that's one of the reasons I had early onset menopause. It messes with your body, and you won't always know right up front. Yes, Susan, exactly. Oh my God, exhausting is the word. It is exhausting to keep the real you inside because you think others won't approve, or you're afraid of. And when I sit down, somebody asked me this question years ago, and I have asked this of other people. Look me in the face and tell me, what is the worst thing that could happen if you let the real you out? What's the worst thing that could happen? Somebody could not like you. Somebody might laugh. Somebody might say something that's not very nice. Raise your hand if you've experienced that before. At some point, I sat down and went, God, that's even ridiculous. And I'm smarter than that. And that's what it came down to for me, because of the way I was raised. I sat back in my chair when I read this, and it was like, oh my God, I'm smarter than that. I've already been through that. And I'm still here. And I'm still rocking and rolling. I've got people who love me. I've got, a job that didn't love it, but it paid me. I've managed to survive way worse than somebody disapproving of who I really am. And I wouldn't, when I was younger, I would lie in school. I would just lie to people so they wouldn't know, or I wouldn't talk at all. And I don't know, Susan, if you, I became an expert at making people think I had told them a lot of stuff when really I hadn't. But it's a defense mechanism. You try to be what you think they want, And that's tiring. And then there's times where you're like, I haven't done anything today and I'm so tired. What is the deal? That's the deal. It's exhausting to try to be something that you're not. And the irony here that gets me, and I'm getting off topic, but the irony here is that we learn this in Entre, right? We talk about the imposter syndrome. We're supposed to, and we did. We all know who that person is, our most excellent self, our highest vibrating self, the self that doesn't have all that extra baggage, the self that operates clean and in alignment, the self that likes we like ourselves, we know what we're worth, and we go after our dreams and our goals, and we serve others, all of those things, right? We go through this imposter syndrome BS that we put ourselves through in our head. But the irony is, have we not already been doing that? I know that I did. I know that I did. And so I took on drums. I had to be the best drummer in the free world. I went on a date. I had to be the most perfect girl ever. I was going to know. I knew about cars. I knew about guy stuff. I could carry on a conversation. I was going to be the best date you ever had. If I was cleaning something, I had to do it better than everybody else. And if I was in a girl group, even though some of them I didn't really care for, and in fact, sometimes it was just like, Lord help me, how did I get in this group? Teenager years. I could get through it, and then at the end it was like, there's not a big enough eye roll for that. Why did I put myself through that? So that's the irony of it is we spend our whole life trying to be what everybody thinks we're supposed to be. That's the imposter syndrome. And it didn't come to me for years, but I don't think I ever really verbalized it till just now. That, letting out our true selves, that's, there's a whole lot of really excellent people that are afraid to be excellent. And when you boil it down and you really say, what are you afraid of? Is it a big bad wolf, or is it like an annoying little squirrel? Right? I mean, highest vibrating self. Yeah, I know. Thanks for not saying that's what she said, because that's what I thought when I said it. Might as well have a little fun. Okay, so I got off topic because I'm kind of passionate about this, but the other thing was, like I said, I was talking about your stomach. And I went ahead and I revisited a Marissa Peer class on YouTube. Free. I'm not disclosing private information or anything. But your stomach. And it made so much sense when you push your feelings down. I've had nervous stomach. I've had sour stomach. I've had, the stomach that don't want you to eat anything. The stomach that's not going to accept any food. The stomach that wants something weird. Your stomach is there. And your stomach... right there at your stomach and your intestines, that's your gut. Most people think, I have acid reflux, I have too much acid in my stomach, and doctors will give you medicine to reduce the acid in your stomach. The reason you have reflux is because you don't have enough acid in your stomach. Your stomach has to be super acidy, and your intestines have to be super alkaline in order for everything to work properly. And when that's out of whack, you push feelings down. Okay, so it sounds simple, doesn't it? The prescription for that is, once we start to deal with the feeling that we're having while we're having it, I've said this 1,000 times, y'all get tired of hearing me say self-talk. When you learn how to deal with the feeling, recognize it, say it out loud. Sometimes I'll talk to it like it's a separate person. If I'm alone in the car, it's like, okay, why are you here? And we'll have a conversation, me and the feeling. And I'll acknowledge it and work it through and push it on its way, because that way it's not sitting in my gut waiting for me to get home and have alcohol or food I shouldn't have, or God forbid, up until about 2 years ago, I could have really bad episodes. And I would know it was coming, and I would say to my husband, afterwards, there's nothing I can do about it. It's like a demon that overtakes me. And I knew that was BS when I was saying it. It was stronger than me at that moment, but had I just been very, very still, I wouldn't have had it. And where you binge and then you lose everything. That's one of the most traumatic things. It's bad. It's bad for your heart. It's bad for your stomach. It's bad for your head. Bad for your eyeballs. Bad for your breath. Bad for your teeth. You name it. I think the only thing it might be good for is your butt muscles, but you can do that in other ways. Little joke. So we learn to deal better with our emotions, then we have less going on in the stomach. And the thing is like we start replacing those crap things that we're telling ourselves with better things, because as we know, if we take something out, there are no voids in nature. Your brain's going to want to put something right back in. Well, I've got the thing. Instead of I'm just never going to lose weight. So you just take that out and throw it as far away from you as you can get it, and you replace it immediately with, I have an amazing body, and I need to make better choices and take care of my amazing body, because my amazing body knows what to do when I give it the right things. Booyah. There's no void, and there's something better. And so saying that second sentence made me feel better than saying, well, I'm just never going to lose weight. Wish I had $1 for every time I said that too. I was meant to be fat. I mean, it's all in the blog. If I read them to you, well, you can read it for yourself. I'm not going to read them out loud. But the things I used to say to myself, I'm defective. I'm a freak. I'm, blah, blah, blah. And your brain centers on these bad things, like my job is making me crazy, or today just about killed me, or, things along that line. Your brain centers in on crazy and kill me, and it goes into crisis mode, and the thought patterns that are there go, okay, well, wait, you're feeling like something bad's going to happen. Let's, that's anxiety. Let's get something really, really sweet in you right now. You're going to crave some chocolate. You're going to crave some cake. You're going to crave a half a tub of ice cream. Or then afterwards you feel like crap because you overate, and then there's that guilt, and there's that whole next thought pattern. Then do you see how crazy that is? The more times I say it out loud, the more it makes sense, and yet I still deal with it every single day of my life. So we changing our thoughts, it's not easy. I mean, I say that to people. We start to change our thoughts with regard to ourselves, then a lot of things start to get better, and it's like, oh my God, Marie, that's huge. Yeah, it's huge. That way you don't do it one day. You don't just sit down and spend an hour and change all your thoughts. It doesn't work that way. You sit down and you start where you are, wherever that is. You've made your list of things that you say to yourself. And listen, I'll tell you, I told you my list of bad stuff's getting smaller. My list of good stuff is getting bigger. So that's good. That means I have less to work on. So it is hard and it isn't hard. Being depressed is hard. Being fat is hard. Being disillusioned is hard. Feeling hopeless is hard. Feeling worthless is hard. Doing something about it is also hard. What are the benefits? This is the feeling like crap. And this is the doing something about it. Which one's going to have more benefits? So it's really that simple. And no, it's not easy. Simple never means easy. It's like I said before with the high road. We take the high road with other people. We got to learn to take the high road with ourselves because we want that excellent view, right? And I would also like jeans that, feel good on that. So, on my big old butt. I love to cook, and I have the thighs to prove it. I'm really not apologizing for that anymore. Now, step 3, let me check in with you guys really quick before I get to step 3, because that was fun. Chips are not... Chips, say once a month. And chips are like one of my, chips are a thing. Fries, we could sit here for 25 minutes and talk about... we could talk about the stuff that is my Achilles heel. Super quick though, I want, and especially you, Jenny, I want you to write down the word in very big letters, permission. You don't need somebody else to give you permission for anything. Unless you have to know a password to get in a club or something. You have to give yourself permission. And I heard this years ago. Susan, help me out. I think you're old enough to remember this show. Who's the Boss? Her name was Judith Light. And I know we're at 7:30, but bear with me. Judith Light, she used to be on One Life to Live. I used to watch that with my granny when I was a kid. And she was heavy. She played Karen Wolick. Oh my God, I can't believe I remembered that after 40-something years. So then I see her a few years later. I got married at 20, so I was probably married when I first saw the show Who's the Boss with Tony Danza. That was her. And she's tiny. Always beautiful, tiny. And so I was like, wow, that's amazing, Sometime later, and this was before the internet, somebody left me a magazine or I found one in a doctor's office, I don't know, but I'm reading this article. Oh, wow, I just hit my whole desk. I'm reading this article and somebody was asking her, how did you bring this transformation about? And she said, I finally got tired of telling myself and anybody else that I can't have stuff because it just made me feel tense all the time. She said, I gave myself permission to have whatever was in the fridge, whatever was in the cabinets. Just, you're fine. Nothing's off limits. You can have whatever you want. No guilt, no crap, no nothing. You can have whatever you want. And she said, once I took that in and believed it, I found that the stuff that I was going for, I really didn't want. Once I had permission to choose anything, I chose the stuff that was better for me because I knew I was going to feel better. And it made sense. I'm telling you, I read this article before the year 2000, and I didn't figure out, I'm still figuring that out, but I, for the most part, didn't figure it out. And that was before I went through, my eating disorder didn't onset until age 32. Second cancer scare turned out to be, thankfully, negative. Marriage about to end. Scared shitless, but knowing I had to leave. And that was when the eating disorder made its entrance into my life for several years. Permission is amazing. You give yourself permission to be amazing. Give yourself permission to eat. And give yourself permission not to eat. Just because it's 6 o'clock and your husband's wanting to eat doesn't mean you have to eat if you're not hungry. Raise your hand if you've ever done that. And at my house, it's like, well, we're fixing dinner. I fixed dinner, and my kids ate on a schedule, mostly because we eat on schedules because we have schedules. But why are you eating at 6 if you're not hungry? I took in all this information about intermittent fasting, which I like. I just don't do it every day. What times to eat, what time to cut off, da 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 da. And you can take all that, and I'll go outside, and it's like I'm hearing so many things in my brain I can't see. Why don't I just do what my body tells me I need? Not that I don't make bad choices. Oh, Cheez-Its. That's another one. I just should never ever have Cheez-Its in my house. I love to cook. That forbidden fruit syndrome. That's exactly it. It's like you want the crappy guy that you couldn't have in high school, and you found out once you got him you didn't really want him anyway. So, anyways, I went a little over, but I was excited about this. And some of it you're gonna find. The more topics we cover, what are we going to come back to? We're going to come back to our self-talk. We're going to come back to how we hold ourselves in esteem and what we do every day to make that better. So, oh wow, you can tell I've been working today. I hope this was helpful in some way. I appreciate you ladies coming in with me. I love you so much. And I hope everybody has a good weekend. Thank you for believing enough in me to show up and listen to me talk. And I hope that you, how am I going to say this? Spread the joy. I know you will. And I'll see you soon. Okay? I'll see you in the funny papers around social media, but I will be back next Friday with a brand new topic. And if you're watching this on replay, hope you enjoyed it. Hit your hashtag replay. Let me know you were here. And if you would like the free PDF, let me know. Take good care. I'll see you next time.